This is the Newsroom.
This is the Newsroom for Friday, June 19, 2026. We're broadcasting to you on E1, SKAR TV, NTN, and TARZEE TV in Bartica. In the headlines, how a borrowed drone helped launch a Guyanese entrepreneur onto the international stage. A breakdown of how much money spent with locals stays in Guyana. A national strategy to tackle flood issues is unveiled. And in sport, Guyana pushes preparations into overdrive for historic Grand Prix in July, and Guyana Amazon Warriors selectee Tilia Majumutu relishes opportunity to play in women's CPL. With the news, I am Lazini Yearwood. Thanks for joining us. A drone business that began with a borrowed aircraft during the COVID-19 pandemic has taken a major leap forward, with Guyanese entrepreneur Brian Smith securing an international partnership that is expected to expand opportunities in the country's growing technology sector. Smith, founder of Dragonfly Solutions Group Inc., has joined forces with Canadian drone technology company Altomax to launch a Guyanese-led joint venture focused on drone inspections, surveying, and geospatial services.
5 years ago, Brian Smith was teaching himself about drone technology online and experimenting with a borrowed drone. Today, he's signing an international joint venture with Canadian technology company Altomax. The partnership, officially launched Thursday at Herdmanston Lodge, creates a new Guyanese-led company that will provide advanced drone inspection and geospatial services to Guyana's growing energy, infrastructure, and industrial sectors. Smith says the journey was anything but easy.
Someone told me in 2019, 2020 that, I'd be standing up here talking about joint venture with an industrial company. I would have laughed.
Built through personal savings, family support, and plenty of determination, Dragonfly Solutions Group has grown from a single drone into a fleet of nearly 18 aircraft used for surveying, mapping, inspections, and precision agriculture. But Smith says the company has always been more about business.
Today is proof of a lot of hard work comes success, and we're happy about this partnership. It's about workforce development. It's about inspiring a new generation, and we would like to express our deepest thanks to our new partners.
The deal came after representatives from Altomax visited Guyana last November as part of an investor mission facilitated by the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Altomax executive Steve Priestley says Dragonfly's story immediately stood out because it reminded them of their own beginnings.
It was more Brian's charisma about what he's doing, and it really attracted us right away. We have kind of the mantra, if your company grows, our company grows organically as well, because we're doing better for the industry as a whole.
Like Dragonfly, Altomax also started with a single drone. Today, the Canadian company operates in nearly 30 countries across 6 continents. Priestley says the partnership is about much more than business.
We're really helping to do what we want to do is create a knowledge transfer. We bring a unique skill set to the market, and we want to be able to transfer that knowledge not just to Brian, but to the industry as a whole.
The new venture, Altomax Offshore Dragonfly, will combine local expertise with international experience while helping Guyanese workers gain globally recognized skills. Government and private sector officials attending the launch hailed the partnership as proof that local entrepreneurship can attract major international opportunities. And for Brian Smith, the message is simple. A borrowed drone, a bold idea, and years of persistence can take a Guyanese company all the way to the global stage. For Fueled, Kurt Campbell.
Guyana's local content law has led oil sector players to spend roughly $700 billion directly on goods and services from Guyanese nationals and businesses. However, President of ExxonMobil Guyana Limited, Alastair Routledge, says the company will soon study how much of that money is retained in the country. ExxonMobil is the operator in the prolific Stabroek Block offshore Guyana, where oil production started in December 2019. Guyana has since become a global oil hotspot, and in December 2021, the Irfan Ali administration enacted a local content law setting out the minimum levels of goods and services that must be procured from Guyanese. Routledge hailed the law as one that helped get more Guyanese directly involved in the sector, with industry players spending about $700 billion locally since. Still, he believes a deeper analysis is warranted as the company works alongside the government to determine the in-country value of that spending.
In-country value, ICV. How much of the money that we spend with a local supplier is actually retained in the country? Whether because the employees are locals and the money is staying in local bank accounts with their families, or because they have additional suppliers that are also local, or that the owners are not just local and have a Guyanese passport, but they're also living locally and banking locally, and that money is being retained and reinvested in the economy. Those are the kind of things that we would like to understand and be able to shine the light on, so that as we make the local content plans for the future, we're really focusing the efforts in areas that will ensure the maximum value is delivered and retained in the country.
Guyana is currently racing to modernize its drainage and irrigation strategy as rainfall pattern shifts dramatically. Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa on Thursday said as he unveiled the country's first ever National Drainage and Irrigation Strategy 2030. A dedicated national strategy to tackle drainage and irrigation backed by $500,000 US and a warning that climate change waits for no one is underway. The country's first ever National Drainage and Irrigation Strategy 2030 was launched on Thursday with funding secured by the Global Green Growth Institute. Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa warned that past and present weather patterns pose a threat, and the country can no longer afford to rely on outdated approaches in the face of a rapidly changing climate.
Gone are the days when we have 2 and 3 inches of rainfall in a month. Today we have 5 and 6 inches of rainfall in an hour, and we have to prepare our drainage system. And when you go through this strategy, and you see what we have here, you will see the comprehensive system that we'll implement in the near future.
Minister Mustafa said that without proper planning in place, food production is compromised and citizens are deeply affected, with livelihoods at risk. These important factors led the government to look into a strategy.
And this strategy will help us to balance what is good and what is bad. Without effective drainage systems, communities become vulnerable to flooding and economic losses.
Mustafa noted that the project was designed to align with Guyana's Low Carbon Development Strategy 2030 and enable inter-ministerial collaboration on drainage, irrigation, and flood management efforts.
We have 16 pumps that are operable in Georgetown. We have a number of sluices and canals that are operable, but those are not sufficient enough, because when we have heavy rainfall, the tongue is underwater in some areas. We have rehabilitated and constructed sluices and cokers across our country. As I'm speaking now, 93 sluices. 92 sluices are earmarked for rehabilitation or build new sluices across this country.
The strategy is published by the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority, NDIA. The NDIA is mapping Guyana's entire drainage network to support a new digital command center that will monitor drainage capacity in real time and help guide farmers on where and when to cultivate. This will further support the government in advising farmers on areas of farming and improve the country's ability to tackle flooding. Reporting for the newsroom, Lizzie Yearwood. Still to come, the High Court challenge to the Teaching Service Commission appointments is dismissed, and we hear how Guyanese can tap into the development bank. Stay with us. You're watching the newsroom. Welcome back. The High Court has dismissed a constitutional challenge brought by Terence Campbell against the appointment of members of the Teaching Service Commission (TSC), ruling that President Dr. Irfan Ali acted lawfully when he appointed the commission despite the absence of a leader of the opposition. In a decision delivered by Justice Damon Young, the court upheld the arguments by Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Anil Nandlal and found that the President's appointments were neither unconstitutional nor unlawful. Campbell had argued that the appointments violated Article 207 2D of the Constitution, which requires the President to appoint 3 members of the TSC only after meaningful consultation with the leader of the opposition. He contended that because no opposition leader had been elected at the time, the constitutional requirement could not be fulfilled, rendering the appointments invalid. The Attorney General, however, maintained that consultation was impossible because the office of the leader of the opposition had been vacant since July 4, 2025. In its analysis, the court acknowledged that meaningful consultation is an important constitutional requirement. However, Justice Young noted that previous judicial decisions had established that consultation is mandatory only when it is practically possible. The court emphasized that the President was not responsible for filling the vacancy in the office of the Leader of the Opposition, as the responsibility lies with the non-governmental members of the National Assembly under Article 184 of the Constitution. As a result, the President could not be faulted for proceeding with the appointments in the absence of an opposition leader. Finance Minister Dr. Ashley Singh addressed many questions budding entrepreneurs have in relation to the Guyana Development Bank on Friday morning at the breakfast seminar hosted by the President of the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and Industry, GCCI. Among those questions was whether public sector workers or private sector employees can access the interest-free, collateral-free loans promised. For him, every Guyanese with a good idea and a strong commitment to business should tap into the opportunity.
I don't believe that in today's era, anybody would say to you, certainly nobody in government would say to you, that because you're in salaried employment, whether your employer is government or not, I don't believe that anybody will say to you, because you're in salaried employment, you must never be able to open a small business, and you must not be encouraged to open a small business. This government would never say that to you. And I'm glad that you've opened that issue. In fact, we encourage people. We encourage everybody, whether you're a government employee, whether you're a private sector employee, we encourage everybody to think more creatively about alternative and complementary things that you can do to use the skills that you have to earn. We encourage you to do that. So I'm glad that you put that issue openly there. So I would say to you, the short answer is, being in full-time employment, whether in government or in the private sector, will not disqualify you, either from seeking to establish a small business or seeking financing for your small business idea. Just like everybody else, your idea has to be a good idea that is well thought out, that you can demonstrate you have capabilities in, not necessarily that you have done it already and you have a long track record of doing it, but at least that you can demonstrate that you have some competence and capability in, and that you've thought it out and that you've prepared a properly thought out business plan.
Wooden pallets lining the streets around Stabroek Market are on their way out, and vendors have been put on notice to clean up or face consequences, as Georgetown Mayor Alfred Mentor met with vendors at the market on Thursday. The engagement forms part of efforts to make the city more appealing for vendors and consumers alike. Mentor said the pallets currently used by vendors have become a serious problem. He also made it clear there will be consequences for those who choose to litter.
The pellets itself has been causing tremendous harm. It has been breeding a lot of other rodents and so on and so forth. And there's a number of things that we have to deal with to be able to have our city look more aesthetically pleasing. For the next few weeks, what we'll be having or what we'll be doing is to ensure that we will be picking up those things, and then at some point we'll move to be able to see what other accommodation we'll put in place and how we'll be able to subsidize that, right, Deputy? To be able to have persons use tables or use some kind of fabrication that we will approve to allow for people selling in our streets and vending. We value the business of vending. We value the economic opportunities that vending provide for you, our city residents and other residents outside of the city. We value that and we appreciate the work you do to contribute to the economy. But while we do that, we also need to be more responsible. We also need to be more responsible with our garbage. We got to be more responsible with how we place those garbage, not dump the garbage, but place them in compactors, right? Bins around here that I believe was provided by the Ministry of Local Government. We'll be using our Chief Constabulary who will suggest to us methods. These are internal methods he will suggest to us as to how he will be monitoring this based on these discussions, so that we could understand how we will be treating with those persons. Yes, you can get out, of course, where's Scarlett? Of course, one, maybe a slap on your wrist, another whatever, but on the third time, by the time you reach the third time, right, Chief, we'll be moving to not only prosecute, but like I said, if those persons they want to comply with the rules and to dispose of garbage and do things accordingly, they will not be able to sell in these environments.
Even as construction continues on Guyana's state-of-the-art pediatric and maternity hospital at Ogle, East Coast Demerara, efforts are already underway to build specialist teams that will operate the facility once it opens its doors, according to Senior Health Advisor and Interventionist Cardiologist Dr. Mahendra Karpan. Speaking during a recent episode of the Guyana Dialogue on Facebook, Dr. Karpan said the focus is not only on completing the physical structure of the hospital, but also on preparing the healthcare professionals who will deliver services there. The specialist hospital is being constructed through a partnership between the governments of Guyana and China, and is expected to significantly strengthen maternal and pediatric healthcare services in the country.
So the Women and Children Hospital continues to move along. The shell is almost completed. We're doing some internal works. There's a little bit of a snag in continuation. We may have to change some of the strategies that have been in place towards completion. But while that is happening, while there's some delays in the actual finishing of the building of the teams that will work in the hospital continues. So, the Georgetown Hospital, the outlying regions that are expected to defer more to the specialist hospital, the maternal child health hospital, have actually been building the working teams from technicians to doctors and nurses, etc., on the outlying hospitals and the Georgetown, Diamond Hospital, and more, so that when the building is completed, the functioning teams will just be transplanted from point A to point B and carry the same synergy to provide the services for Guyanese.
As safety expands, Labour Ministry conducts over 6,000 workplace inspections, and we tell you about the rapid growth in the maritime sector. More when the newsroom returns. Welcome back to the newsroom. The Ministry of Labour has conducted more than 6,000 workplace inspections across Guyana's high-risk and low-risk sectors over the last several years. They have reached more than 27,000 workers through inspections, education programs, awareness campaigns, and stakeholder engagement initiatives. The figures were highlighted by Minister of Labour and Manpower Planning Keoma Griffith during remarks at the AmCham Health, Safety, Security and Environment Conference on Thursday, where he underscored the government's continued focus on workplace safety.
Over the last several years, the ministry has significantly expanded its occupational safety and health activities, conducting more than 6,000 inspections across high-risk and low-risk sectors and reaching over 27,000 workers nationwide through inspections, education, awareness, and stakeholder engagement initiatives. These efforts have contributed to measurable improvements in workplace safety and demonstrate the government's commitment to creating safer and healthier workplace and working environments throughout Guyana. Importantly, our efforts have not slowed, they have accelerated. Within the first 5 months of 2026, the Occupational Safety and Health Department has already completed a substantial portion of its annual inspection program and is on course to surpass previous annual inspection levels before the end of 2026. Our work has also expanded alongside Guyana's rapidly growing economy through offshore inspections, sector-specific training programs, workplace engagements, and strategic partnerships. The ministry continues to strengthen occupational safety and health standards across traditional and emerging sectors, including oil and gas, construction, mining, agriculture, and manufacturing. These efforts demonstrate a simple but important reality. Workplace is not an afterthought. Workplace safety is not an afterthought. It is a national priority. Moreover, safety is not seasonal. It is not optional. It is a daily commitment to the well-being of the workers who continue to drive our nation's development.
Kathy Smith, President of the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and Industry, GCCI, is encouraging budding entrepreneurs to register their businesses and get their documents in order so they can tap into the interest-free, collateral-free loans coming through the Guyana Development Bank. Smith said engaging the Deeds Registry, Guyana Revenue Authority, and National Insurance Scheme isn't an administrative burden. It's a necessary step for business persons. She spoke on the sidelines of a breakfast seminar hosted by the GCCI at the Marriott Hotel, Kingston on Friday.
Let's say, for example, we know of that woman in the village that does cakes excellently. But who she have been selling to? She have been selling those cakes to the parents in the community, the schools, the churches, people who she know. Imagine if she registered that business and then she goes into the newspaper or on social media and see one of the oil company is asking for supply of items for event, regular event they might have every month. She might say now, I can do that. But when she turn up to the company, they might say, we can't do business with you unless you are registered. Because what we want to do is to support you to ensure that you're doing business the right way. Register the business. Simple registration, you can go to Deeds Registry to do that registration. There are some people who are ambitious enough that want to incorporate their business where they're looking to have directors on their business. That is also fine. We are encouraging you when you register a business, you go over to GRA. Say to GRA, I've just registered this business, I'm looking for a TIN number for this business because the business now has become a separate entity from you. So no longer should the business be paddling behind your name and what you have been doing all along. Get your tin. When you get your tin now, say now to GRA, another counter, I want to apply for compliance. Because I saw a project online, I saw it in the media, and they're asking for me to submit a GRA compliance. When you finish with a GRA compliance, now you can paddle over to NIS and say to NIS, just register my business, I want an NIS compliance because company also is asking for that. And that is where you can start shaping yourself. And as you start to do that, I say to people, build your presence on social media, create a platform in the name of your business. Or if you think that you're popular enough that you can do it by yourself, you do that.
Guyana's maritime sector has experienced significant expansion since 2020, with vessel traffic increasing by 42% and imports more than tripling during the period. According to Minister of Public Utilities and Aviation, Deodat Indar. Speaking on Wednesday, Indar highlighted the sector's rapid growth driven by increased economic activity and expanding offshore operations.
Guyana maritime sector has experienced exceptional growth since 2020. And from 2020 to date, we have seen vessel traffic increase by 42%, according to the numbers provided by the Maritime Administration. We have seen imports rise threefold, from about 42,000 TEUs per annum to close to 150,000 TEUs per annum now. And that growth is strong and it will continue over the next 2 decades. But this growth represents opportunity. It places greater responsibility on us to maintain high standards of maritime governance, environmental stewardship, and operational excellence. Over the last decade, Caribbean port state control regime has matured considerably through digitization, something that we at the Maritime Administration continue to work towards. Stronger integration with international system and more structured inspection practices. We hate to see ground vessel sink because of failed inspection, and boats, ships, whatever it is, went out into the ocean and put lives at risk. Collaboration with international partners has strengthened the effectiveness and continued relevance of the CMOU. Today, we are witnessing measurable improvements in compliance with International Maritime Convention and greater consistency in inspection practices across member states. Guyana, let's examine what we have been doing. In 2025, Guyana conducted 12 physical port state control inspections and vetted 286 vessels through its online clearance system for operation with the offshore oil blocks. Additionally, our participation in regional workshops, structured training programs continues to strengthen the competence of our team here at the Maritime Administration. At the same time, we are expanding our logistics framework and implementing digital port management systems.
When the newsroom returns, the financial, weather, and bridge reports, along with sport news. Stay with us.
day.
Welcome back to Newsroom. Avinash Ramzan here with tonight's sport. We start things off with some cricket news. Guyanese batting all-rounder Tilia Madramutu is eager to make the most of her opportunity in the Women's Caribbean Premier League later this year. The 20-year-old, a product of the Maltino Sports Club in Georgetown, was drafted by the Guyana Amazon Warriors for the tournament, which will be held in Barbados from September 5th to the 17th. The Warriors will compete against defending champions Barbados Tridents, Jamaica Empress and Trinbago Knight Riders in an 8-match tournament. Madramutu, who has represented Guyana at both the under-19 and senior levels, is excited about the prospect of showcasing her talent on the regional stage while gaining invaluable experience alongside some of the game's most established players. She believes the opportunity will not only allow her to test her skills against top-quality opposition, but also help elevate her game through learning and exposure at the highest level.
Yeah, so with challenges, of course, come great rewards. And you have been rewarded now with a place in the Guyana Amazon Warriors team for the Women's Caribbean Premier League happening later this year. What does that mean for you personally to be able to get the nod of the franchise to be part of that tournament?
Honestly, it means a lot to me. I see it as another important step to my journey. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity, very grateful for everyone that's been a part of it, and especially my parents and the coaches. And I see it as a big opportunity for me to develop myself as a player.
Yeah, and especially in terms of developing yourself, there's an opportunity now to play at a different level. You will be mingling with players who have played at the international level. Players from different parts of the world would be here as well, playing in that tournament. What would you want to achieve out of this experience altogether?
Well, to be a part of that environment, I would look forward to be a part of that setting. It is a new, higher level of cricket.
Yeah.
being be amongst the more experienced, higher level cricketers. And I would look forward to learning from them and just experiencing what that level of cricket has for me.
Rainforest Water has officially recommitted as the official hydration partner of the One Guyana T10 Table Tournament for a 4th consecutive year. The partnership under the umbrella of Banks DIH Limited ensures the extension of the tournament's signature rainforest water break in every match, a feature that has become synonymous with the tournament's match day structure.
Rainforest is actually committed 4 years now with the One Guyana T10 table cricket. And basically, Rainforest is a brand under the Banks DIH umbrella. We are proud Guyanese brand. We're actually very much enthusiastic about the fact that we give back to the public, to the community. Rainforest is very much actively involved in health and healthy lifestyle rather, and sporting events. These are all shows the quality of the brand that incorporate with healthy lifestyle, active message and everything else. But generally we are committed to develop the relationship and continue the culture of cricket in Guyana. Even self it's from the communities and developing young minds, grooming them, all within the circle of a positive message. And we could not be more proud to be part of this event.
Rainforest Water has been our hydration partner for the past 4 seasons with the One Guyana T10 Table Blast. We're really extremely happy to have them on board again. I want to say thank you so very much to everyone involved with getting Rainforest Water back with us. The players look forward to that break, that Rainforest Water break. It's an opportunity for them, whether they're batting or bowling, to really see where they are in the game, to have a discussion, to have a plan going in further. So it is an important juncture. And Rainforest Water coming on board again speaks a whole lot about their commitment to sport. And then, of course, everyone involved in the tournament will be hydrated throughout the tournament from game number 1 all the way to the final in Regina.
Now, with less than a month to go before the highly anticipated Guyana Grand Prix on July 11th and 12th, the Guyana Motor Racing and Sports Club executive body and its dedicated teams have launched an all-hands-on-deck initiative. Their goal, ensuring the South Dakota circuit is in flawless world-class condition to host the 3rd leg of the GT Challenge de las Americas. Recognizing the gravity of bringing this level of international motorsport to local shores, the GMRNSC has dedicated immense resources to the facility. This massive undertaking ensures that the absolute best of Guyana is on display for an expected influx of thousands of international visitors, mechanics and drivers. According to the GMRNSC executive member, Elan Rahaman, the upcoming event has outgrown the parameters of a traditional race meet and has evolved into a major national occasion.
I imagine this has been a dream for all generations before mine, but the club has taken so many significant steps to bring this series here and to be a part of this process. It hasn't only been us, but the previous committee has put in countless hours into this. However, to be part of this project as a young executive, it's amazing to see the growth, the transformation, how everybody gets their hands dirty and involved, and it's not an easy job. We're all employed or employees. Sorry, we're all business people at the end of the day, and to really and truly donate all this time, we're glad and we're happy to see the sport grow.
And Christian Jeffrey believes that with the continued development of jumbo jet events, Guyana is now well positioned to host international karting competitions. Reflecting on his experience at the most recent jumbo jet events race meet, the Nitro Kart Clash, Jeffrey praised the standard of organization, competition and track preparation. He noted that the event demonstrated the country's growing capacity to stage high-quality motorsport events that can attract regional and international drivers. This weekend, Jumbo Jet Events will stage the first event of the Need for Speed karting series at a karting track on Thomas Lands, with close to 100 competitors set to battle for top honors.
Hi guys, I'm Christian Jeffrey, former Caribbean champion and a part of the Mango Motorsports team racing in the Nitro Kart Clash at the stadium. It was a really good event. I wasn't planning on racing, but one of the guys called me out. He said he wanted a dog fight, so I decided to show up. which is Calvin Ming, good racer in Guyana. And I was able to, after selling all my go-karts, I had one available last minute to go through and race. And I must say, for racing in Guyana, in karting, the time frame, the organization, I felt like I was racing internationally. So kudos to Jumbo Jet and the team for having such an event. Well, I got into racing in general through my dad. He raced bikes and then transitioned off into cars. And it was mainly a family thing. He raced against his brother in grass track and stuff like that. And then that kind of went on into our family with me racing against my cousin Stefan in Guyana. And then we kind of took it up a notch, racing Canada and in North America. I know everybody thinks like the racing is easy, you just put gas in and go, but it takes in a lot of work. It's an expensive sport, so you got to make your dreams a little, come back to like a reality check, like how much you could put in, the money behind it and stuff like that. So for me, sponsorship was a key thing, which is the first thing I tried to acquire. And then from that, I kind of based it with, because you got to be physically fit. I'm in the gym 5 times a week. I joined the cycling team to do additional fitness. So I ride about 300 kilometers right now a week. Sometimes that relates to miles as well. So it helps, but nothing is better than going on track for your hand-eye coordination. So the more time you could go in and put in the hours out there is better. From what I've seen in the start of this year, the projection I saw, I thought we won't reach this so soon. I think with what the Jumbo Jet team did, we can host international standard racing. But it's not just having the karts, it's about the marshalling, having a good team all around. And even the karters that are racing, you gotta remember that it's a show we're trying to put on. Be respectful of the marshals and just try and help out of your own heart to get the sport to grow, to make the thing an international event. That's gonna be one to look at, because as you can see the different categories, how close the racing was. I had a really exciting one with my cousin Justin Temple, which the little guy almost got me. Just experience helped me dig in deep to make it through. But I'm hearing through the grapevines there's some international guys coming in. Our team at Mango Motorsport will probably bring in a few guys to hype up the event a little bit more. And obviously we're pushing the Briggs Racing because we have the volume, we want to make it affordable for everyone, and I'm hoping to see the grids fill with about 50 to 60 karts per category by the end of the year.
Need for Speed Karting Championship.
And co-host Mexico are through to the round of 32 of the FIFA World Cup with a 1-0 win over Korea Republic. A Luis Romo goal in the 50th minute sealed Mexico's passage to the next stage. It was Mexico's second win in as many games, having defeated South Africa 2-0 on the opening day of the World Cup. Another co-host, Canada, also had an emphatic outing, ramping to a 6-0 win over Qatar after a 1-1 draw in their opening game. Jonathan David was the star of stars for Canada, hitting the first World Cup hat-trick by a CONCACAF player in 96 years to join Lionel Messi atop the scoring chart. And before we leave, we must remind you that the FIFA World Cup 2026 is here, and ENET is bringing you every match live. 48 teams, 104 matches, 1 champion. That's the news for this evening. See you back here on Monday.